All right, welcome back to another Tech Talk. This is Josh from KeepItTechie, and I'm super excited. You know what I'm saying? I got another IT professional in the building. We're gonna be talking tech. You know what I'm saying? And I want to introduce you guys to John. And how you doing, John?
Hey, pretty good, pretty good. Appreciate you having me on your stream. Excited to be here.
Yeah, no problem, no problem. Yeah, and John, works in the cybersecurity field. He's a consultant, and owns his own business and all that stuff. And I'll let him formally introduce himself a little in a couple minutes. But I just wanted to at least give you guys some insight on who I have on. And let me give a couple shout outs to the chat. Good to see you guys. Zakiba, good to see you. Hey chat, ready for some tech talk? Good to see you. Majestic Logic, another great live stream about to start. Lamorcus, Harry, good to see you. Thanks for coming through. And so, John, um,
Just
I'm happy you was able to do this, man. So, let me go down and let you introduce yourself, and
sure.
yeah, and talk
All
about
right.
how you got into
So,
tech.
my name's John Breth. I'm a IT/cyber architect. You might also know me from Twitter. I go by jbizzle703, and I have a YouTube channel called CyberInsight. And I own my own company called JBC. We do different types of IT and cyber design, architecture, implementation, management, things like that. Started off my career way back in the day in the Air Force, uh, doing kind of, I don't know what you'd consider long haul telecom. So I was
Mm-hmm.
in a career field called tech control, did that for 4 years, kind of started to get a taste of the networking side of things. And that was really where I found my passion as far as, what in IT I really was attracted to. So after my 4 years, got out, started working for a consulting company, one of the large consulting companies here in the Northern Virginia area. My career kind of progressed from that into being a network engineer, senior network engineer. Ended up leaving them after maybe about like 6 years and going to work at a tier one ISP.
Mm.
Still doing network engineering, but also kind of getting into the cyber engineering, so solution engineering and things like that. And over my course of my time there with them, kind of got moved into the lead architect or principal engineer role. And that's really where I started to get my hands into all sorts of different types of security things, both from a technical perspective, but then also from the management of systems and the
Mm-hmm.
processes that you need to go through as far as building things out and approvals and maintaining compliance with different types of regulations and things like that. So kind of have a pretty decent background as far as overall IT lifecycle management and
Mm-hmm.
integration and all that type of good jazz, I guess.
Okay.
Um, and then started my own company and kind of continue doing a similar type of work to that as far as IT architecture design for different types of services for my clients.
Cool, cool, cool. Yeah, man, that's interesting, and that was one of the reasons I really wanted to bring you on, because you're a veteran as well, like
Yep.
me,
Yep.
um,
For sure.
and you actually got so you got most of your training while you were in the Air Force, well, just starting out the initial training.
Yeah.
Okay.
So my first few years of my career was like pretty intense
Mm-hmm.
from a training perspective. So in my time in the Air Force, I actually went through and did my undergraduate degree.
Mm-hmm.
Um, but the way that kind of worked back then was you couldn't actually start school until you're in the Air Force. They call it a 5 level. So it's like you get on the job training and there's kind of like some basic things that you need to knock out
Okay.
first, and then your leadership would let you take classes.
Mm-hmm.
So I actually did my undergrad in about 2.5 years. So
Okay.
it was taking classes full time, working full time, and a whole bunch of like CLEPs and standardized testing,
Mm-hmm.
which it's one of those things that I hit on whenever anybody's asking about, what's some quick ways to like get spun up with college and stuff like that. Don't sleep on those CLEPs. I mean, I think they're like, $100 a pop. You can go, you can take the test. If you did somewhat decent in high school
Mhm.
in kind of like these general types of classes and topics, you know, history, English, math, really, really, you know, baseline type of stuff like that, you won't have to go and actually take the class in college. You'll just automatically get the credit for it. So it can really, you know, fast track you with that.
Okay.
So combination of that, and then also starting to take different types of certifications. I want to say by the time I was maybe 26, I had my undergrad, I did grad school, CCNA, CCMP, CCIE written, and CISP.
Okay.
So I was hitting the training and stuff like that
Mhm.
pretty much as hard as I could. But I was lucky in all of those situations where I had leadership that was really supportive of training and
Mhm.
really wanted people to go about doing those things. And then also, you know, working for a company that had a good educational program, and you mix that with the GI Bill,
Oh yeah.
you know, it makes it so that you can, you know, get pretty far ahead as far as, you know, getting these things without having to go crazy into debt. Right.
Mhm. Yep. And that's
That's the thing we're all
exactly.
trying to avoid.
Yeah, and that's exactly what I was gonna say, man. You you one of those guys that join, yeah, of course to serve, but you know, a lot of people say, "Oh, I joined you know, go to school," and you took full advantage of it.
100%. I mean, so where I came from, uh, my family didn't have money to send me to college or
Mhm.
anything like that. I actually didn't have any type of background in IT. Like I wasn't one of those kids growing up who like played around with computers and was into coding and all that type of stuff. I had no background in any of
Mhm.
that. And I did want to go to college. I didn't have any way to pay for it. And I was like, well, let me go talk to these Air Force folks and take the ASFAB and see, you know, what I can kind of luck ass my way into.
Mhm.
And yeah, it kind of just unfolded like that. I'm really uh, lucky, privileged, blessed, whatever, you know, word you want
Mhm.
to use, that I was actually able to find a career field that I actually ended up really enjoying, because I know that, you know, a lot of people that isn't kind of how it works, especially with going in the military. But for me, it just kind of aligned that way, and really, you know, set me up to be successful moving forward once I got out of the Air Force.
That's cool, man. That's great, bro. Um,
Appreciate it.
now, let me so let's just I guess focus on this question for a second.
Okay.
If someone was trying to actually get into the IT, because all right, I hear different ways from
Sure.
different people, and I know it's different areas of IT that you can get
Yep.
into. But as far as um, the type of work that you do now,
Mhm.
how would you explain or try to help somebody or explain how someone should get started and get into this field?
I mean, so you're right. There's so many different ways that you could go about that, and different type of pathways, and it really depends on a whole bunch of things like your location.
Hmm.
It depends upon, you know, what type of background you have in other jobs that you had previously. It depends on, you know, what about tech or cyber actually attracts you to it.
Hmm.
You know, if there's certain things that you already kind of have some intuition with, or if it's just, you know, that in tech you can make a lot of money. And I don't fault anybody for that. Like we all want to make money. So
Hmm.
like if you see tech and you're like, hey, I can get a job in tech, I can be good at this, and I can, you know, set my family up to be in a really good position, then I'm all for that as well. You know, but as far as the best ways to go about that, man, I mean, if you think about it, how crazy it is now compared to, I mean, when I got in, started doing stuff back in 2003, there wasn't a whole bunch of free resources out there,
Yeah,
right?
that's true.
So if you wanted to learn something in tech, you either had to go to college, you had to somehow find somebody who was willing to pay for a training class, or you had to go to, like, you know, a bookstore, Barnes and Noble or whatever, and
Hmm.
buy the one book on the one topic that you just happen to be interested in, right?
Yeah.
Um, Now there's so many things out there that allows people to be able to test things out and
Hmm.
kind of, you know, figure out what they might be interested in. So I would say, you know, YouTube, I mean, what you're doing right here, right, is an excellent jump off point as far as starting to understand what's even out there in the industry, right? And that's free. You could watch videos all day long.
Yeah.
There's a lot of different types of meetups as far as different types of conferences and groups. I cannot stress enough how important networking is. And I don't mean like IT networking. I mean like actually meeting people, talking to people, telling people that you're actually interested in getting into the career field, asking those types of questions.
Yeah.
So many people are willing to help other people, give them a hand up, point them in the right direction, as long as they're willing to do the work to get where they need to go. So I would definitely say networking on different social media platforms, getting to different conferences, things like that. There's so many different tool sets now that are out there that are free that you can download and run on your computer. I mean, depending upon what you want to do, if it's in networking, there's different network simulators that are free. If it's in cybersecurity, you can download Kali, you can download Nessus, you can download Splunk, you can download, I mean, almost anything that you can think of, it's out there. And if you have the desire, or you've done a little bit of research to figure out what it is that you might want to learn about, it's there for you to go out there and at least start poking around. The other thing that I would say, like, I think training classes are really good and boot camps are really good, but obviously the cost there is a bit prohibitive. And I think they're great and they have their place and they can help you out. But I would say another awesome thing that you could do if you're looking for a little bit more guided training is check out your community colleges. Community colleges normally have a decent amount of different types of IT classes. Community colleges are normally what, $300 for a class, something like that. Spread it out over the course of a whole semester. You're going to have people in there that are in the field teaching the classes, and it's also, again, another good way to network with folks. So I would say, off the bat, those are probably the general recommendations that I would give to somebody who was like, hey, I want to get into IT and I don't know where to start.
Yeah, and I 100% agree with everything you said. But one of the things that you hit on is like, I don't know, something that I try to tell people as much as possible. Networking. That's that piece is very important, and a lot of people don't think about it. But having a good network or of people, and then a lot of times people ask, well, how do I get one? And I always just point to LinkedIn. And I know LinkedIn just got hacked not that long ago, but but I still point them to LinkedIn, because that's one of the best ways to get a network and start following these because they have all those groups on there with different in different areas of IT, and just start following people and pinging people in the background saying, hey, I'm interested in this. I really want to learn, how do I get into this field? And just like me or you, I work in the field, you work in the field, we don't mind helping people. You know what I'm saying? We don't mind putting out the information. That's one of the reasons we have YouTube channels, you know what I'm saying? Just to put out the information and try to help people get interested and get the information they need in order to, get into the field and succeed. So I 100% agree, bro.
For sure. I mean, I think putting it out there that you're actually interested in getting into certain things and asking those questions, you're actually probably going to get more information back, and it's going to be overwhelming. At least I've seen that. But at least, hey, it's better to have a whole bunch of information than no information. So, I've seen that happen every day on Twitter. Every single day. Somebody will ask a question. Hey, I'm interested in getting into this. People will make connections with people there, be like, oh, hey, you should follow these 4 people. Here's some blog posts. Here's some videos. If you want it, there's no reason why, you won't be able to find some type of pathway to end up getting there, for sure.
Okay. Yeah. I agree. Now, as far as skills, we all know, you need skills to be very successful in this field. So how do you keep your technology skills current? Or any
Uh,
places that you recommend? And I'm sorry, I'm just trying to
sure.
make sure I explain the question right. Is that go ahead, go ahead, go ahead. I
Well,
think you got it.
I think there's kind of a few different ways to go about that. I mean, so there's the answer for me personally, and then there's kind of like
Mm-hmm.
the answer as far as somebody who's new that's getting in and things like that.
Mm-hmm.
For me personally, the way that I kind of stay up on things is it's a little bit more correlated to the different projects that I'm working on for clients.
Okay.
So tech changes all the time, right? It's
Mm-hmm.
constantly evolving. So you kind of have to stay up on that when you're making different types of recommendations on different types of solutions.
Yeah.
So for me, that's kind of one of the ways that I stay up on things is, they want to implement, technology X or solution Y or whatever. And so I have to go and read up on it. I have to learn about it. Hands-on integrating something, building something out is the best way to learn. And that's,
Mm-hmm.
oftentimes what happens when you're integrating new technology. As far as new people and stuff like that, I think it comes back again to the different types of learning services that are online. I
Yeah.
think are a great way because at that point you don't necessarily have your baseline of information. So
Mm-hmm.
starting off with kind of understanding the foundational types of things. I'm sure we're going to hit on certs later on,
Oh yeah.
but even taking the actual act of getting a certification out of it, just taking a look at the objectives that are required to earn the cert, kind of provides a good pathway as far as things that you should be looking at and trying to learn and things like that. And then obviously hands-on is going to be the best way with that. So, reading books and watching videos is great, but finding a way to actually be able to do configurations, to screw up, to figure out why you screwed up,
Yeah.
to ask questions when you're stuck. I think those are, in
Mm-hmm.
general, I mean,
Yeah.
just in life,
Yeah.
even outside of tech, those are the best ways to learn things.
I agree. I was trying to push you to talk about labbing, or do you lab, right?
Sure. Yeah.
Yeah. Like
So,
setting that up too.
labbing is definitely important. I'm
Mm-hmm.
lucky that uh, on some of the contracts that I have, my clients actually have like fully built out test
Testing
environments.
environments. Okay,
Yeah, most
cool,
of them.
cool.
So that makes it really easy as far as when you have a new technology that you want to kind of figure out, you can just go and either get the vendor to let you borrow it for 3 months,
Mm-hmm.
or you end up buying it. Kind of a little quick interesting side note with that for people that are doing consulting or engineering and stuff like that is most vendors actually will sell you equipment or software at a discounted rate if it is for a lab and not for the production environment.
Okay.
Um, so if folks don't know that and they're going out and buying stuff at full price, stop it.
Mm-hmm.
Talk to whoever the sales folks are that you're working with whatever vendor. Tell them that you're looking at doing a POC in a test environment, or it's going to be in a lab environment, and can you get pricing to reflect that versus something that is in a production environment, and you can actually save yourself quite a bit of money. So that's the type of labbing that I do from that perspective. I also, for my content that I do on the YouTube channel, I've been doing a lot of like Try Hack Me, which is awesome.
Okay.
Um, Different types of, I've been doing some Linux labs, some networking labs. I mean, there's so many
Mm-hmm.
books out there for different types of labs you can do with free software.
Okay.
Um, that's always a good route to go as well.
Yeah, and that's something I was gonna ask you next. So what books do you recommend, or just a few? You ain't gotta.
So, I mean, I guess that depends on like on what area of tech we're
Yeah.
talking about,
Yeah,
right?
and I know.
Yeah, I mean, so that's pretty broad.
Broad. Yeah.
From a Cisco perspective, back in the day when I was doing CCNA stuff, it's still true. This guy Todd Lamley,
Mm-hmm.
his Cisco books are excellent. They're so much better than Cisco Press. Cisco Press books are the most boring technical books you will ever find anywhere. You might need to get them, especially if you're going after certain Cisco certifications, because you just
Yeah.
need to learn it. But man, it'll put you to sleep. It's atrocious. So Todd Lamley's Cisco books are really good. If you're getting into cybersecurity, this isn't necessarily a technical book, but Marcus Carey's Tribe of Hackers series
Mm-hmm.
is absolutely awesome. So I think he has 4 or 5 books covering that, where it's kind of a sample set of questions that he asks to 50 different people that are kind of senior in the career field. And it provides really, really good perspectives on, ways to get into the career, technical challenges people have overcome, recommendations for, folks
Mm-hmm.
wanting to get in, like just covers a whole bunch of stuff. And so I highly recommend the Tribe of Hackers series of books to anybody who's wanting to get into cyber. I'm trying to think what else. I wrote a Network Plus book, so I highly recommend that one.
Okay. That's cool.
Yeah, I mean, it really depends, but there's so many resources out there. And if one other one I should mention is No Starch Press. No Starch Press has tremendous books on everything from cybersecurity to Linux to networking, and they always have different humble bundles going on where you can pretty much pick up 10 or 15 books for like $25. So that's a really, really good way to
Okay.
go to get those. The money goes to charity, and it will save you a lot of money, because if you were to just go to the website and buy it, normally those books are, 40 or 50 bucks a piece. So
Okay.
I definitely recommend them for sure.
All right. Yeah, I'm about to look that up right now as well.
Oh yeah. I'll send you some links after the chat.
Okay. Okay. Cool. Sounds good.
Yeah.
So the infamous question:
Yeah.
degrees, certifications, or both?
Oh, I love it. I love it. Such a question that evokes so much emotion in different
Yeah.
people.
Yeah.
And like everything in IT, it depends.
Yeah.
So it depends on where you are in your career. It depends on where you are location wise. It depends on what type of jobs you're going after.
Mm-hmm.
So my first recommendation to everybody is you need to do whatever you need to do to get that job. So that's the first thing. If the job you're trying to get requires you to get a certain cert, then don't worry about the degree, go get the cert, right? On the flip side, obviously, with having a few degrees, I love going to college. I think that there is a lot of intrinsic type of networking and knowledge that you pick up there that you're not going to pick up self-studying doing certs.
Mm-hmm.
The balance there, though, is it worth going to college and getting into a mountain of debt for the degree? Probably not. But again, it depends. So if you can use, I don't know, depending on the state that you're in, a lot of them have different programs where you can go to like community college for the first 2 years.
Mm-hmm.
And then the state colleges will automatically accept you into the state colleges. That can save you a ton of money. You end up getting a degree, your 4-year degree is from the state college.
Mm-hmm.
So that's, a really good pathway. I would say in the overall scope of your career, getting both is really the way to go. But
Mm-hmm.
everybody's different. Different locations are different. Different companies are different.
Yeah.
So you really gotta, be strategic in what's going to get your foot in the door to be able to start making some serious money. And then once you kind of have that lined up, then you can, go after things that, maybe you didn't need to do beforehand.
Now
So,
let me ask you this.
yeah.
As far as I know, no, well, I know about the Army. I know you were
Yep.
Air Force.
Yep.
A lot of times well, from the guys that I talked to in the
Mm.
Army that I went into IT, I think it's
Yep.
25 series or whatever. They get a lot of certifications
Okay.
paid by, the military. Is
Yep.
this the same thing in the Air Force? Did you get some certifications paid by the military?
Um,
Or
I
did you have
don't.
to come out of pocket?
I think I paid for actually taking the certification test
Mm-hmm.
myself. Although I think now you can use the GI Bill for that.
Yeah.
But so I was in 2003 through 2007.
Okay.
So I'm
Things
sure
change.
things have changed probably an awful lot, especially as kind of like the importance of cyber and things like that kind
Oh
of
yeah.
have, gotten people more focused and spun up on training and things, aligned with that. I did get an awful lot of training opportunities. So, right,
Mm-hmm.
you have your, in the Air Force, I call it tech school. I think in the Army, what is that, A school?
Um, it's
Or,
yeah, AIT. Yeah, yeah,
okay, yeah.
advanced individual training. Yeah.
Yep. So, obviously you get that training, but then once you get to your duty station,
Mm-hmm.
depending upon the role that you're in,
The
I
command.
got a whole bunch of different classes that they sent me to, some Cisco classes and things like that, which helped get me prepared to take different certifications.
Mm-hmm.
So, but actually paying for the cert itself, the $100 or $300 or whatever
Mm-hmm.
it was, depending on the different certs. Um, I think I can't remember them actually covering that. I think I paid for that out of pocket. But
Okay.
like I said, I'm pretty sure that's changed now, and you can
Mm-hmm.
definitely use your GI Bill for that type of stuff.
Yeah, and then I know they give vouchers and all that other stuff. So
Oh yeah,
the
I mean,
military. Yeah. Go ahead.
so not only that, like
Mm-hmm.
while you're in, but also getting out. There are some awesome transition programs,
Yeah.
as far as free training and free certs when you're coming out.
Mm-hmm.
Um, and I can I can't remember the links off the top of my head, but I'm more than happy to go track those down and provide those. And you can throw them in the show notes or stuff like that if you want
Okay.
to. But there is some definite awesome programs out there. Some of them will even cover like SANS classes, which we know like the SANS classes are
Yeah.
like seven grand a pop or
Yeah.
whatever. So
Wow.
yeah, there's definitely some awesome opportunities and programs out there for people that are transitioning out.
Okay. Cool. 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 Yeah. And I haven't said this in a long time, but in the army is well, y'all probably had that too. Military One Source that can help you with
What was
it's
that?
Military One Source. It's
I'm
Military
not.
One Source or yeah, that's the name of it. Military One Source, and it's like an army thing, I think.
Oh, okay. Yeah, I haven't heard of that before.
And
What is it?
it's basically where you can get information about anything. It could be VA
Mm,
benefits, it could be
oh,
job
okay.
training, it could
Yeah,
be it's yeah, it's just one of those, I guess, centralized places you can go to get a lot of information
gotcha. Okay.
about anything, getting out the military.
I
So
mean, that's one thing. Like, I don't know, man. Like, people go into you got to take advantage of every
oh
single
yeah.
damn benefit they got. Like, I don't get. I can't even understand going in the military and not using your GI Bill. Like,
Hmm.
it, I don't know. It makes me sad when I think about folks that do that because, I mean, I don't know of anything else that can set you up for you to set your family up for everybody to actually, be successful and be in a good place moving forward in your life. So,
Definitely.
yeah,
I definitely agree, man. I definitely agree because um yeah, I've seen people that have just not used it, or at least if you're not gonna use it, if you're married,
yeah, give it.
give it to your spouse.
Yep,
You
or your
know,
kids.
yeah,
Yeah, yeah, yeah, for
yeah.
sure.
So definitely agree. But so since and I know we kind of touched on it a little bit, you touched on Linux a little bit, but my channel, is mainly about Linux, so I try to ask a question here or two.
Sure, sure.
How important is Linux, um, I guess during your position or during
So
your history?
I I wish that I had focused on Linux more when I was a more junior network engineer.
Mm-hmm.
Um, and I've come to the conclusion, I've said this a few times on Twitter, that if we were talking about other skills that a network engineer should get outside of networking skills, I would say Linux is the top one, because you are just going to run into it so much
Mm-hmm.
at different places. You also get into the fact that a lot of these networking devices are actually running Linux underneath the hood.
Oh yeah.
And, at different times, you're going to have to actually get underneath whatever the OS is and do different types of things with Linux commands. A lot of management infrastructure runs on top of Linux. I mean, like, understanding Windows is great and it's useful and it will make you a more well-rounded network engineer.
Mhm.
But if you were asking me what's more important, learning some fundamentals of Linux or learning how to build out an AD forest, I'm gonna point you over towards the Linux. Like, I just think that is, really something that is gonna make you a better engineer in general. So, I mean, I use it quite a bit, both from the networking side of the house, and then also once you're dealing with security tools. Most security tools are running on Linux, so you're gonna have to, be familiar with moving around within a Linux environment, even if it's just basic administrative stuff, to be able to get to, the logs that you want and the configurations that you want.
Mm-hmm. Yep, and I agree. That's why I kind of push it, as much as I can, especially in the cyber field,
For
And I
sure.
know they have, what is it, Commando OS? They have those Windows versions of
Yep. Yeah.
that
Yeah.
has all the different cybersecurity tools on it, but
Mm.
like the main ones,
Yeah.
is Kali, Parrot,
Yep. For sure.
Linux. So you have to have at least some base understanding of how
Mm.
to actually use it, navigate through it, and
Yep.
So
Exactly. And I think, what was I going to say with that? Dang it. I lost my train of thought with that. If it comes back to me.
okay, it's all
Yeah.
good.
Sorry.
Nah, no problem. But and if you guys are just joining us, I have John, Breth, from CyberInsight. Um, so go on and start getting y'all questions ready. We're getting closer to the end. I want you guys to ask them some questions.
Oh,
But
I did think of what my comment was.
oh, go ahead.
Um, Linux is free.
Yeah.
So I mean, in general, it's free. So that's another great reason why it's a good thing to learn and pick up and stuff like that. You aren't paying for, um, you know, a Windows Server 2019 license, right?
Yeah.
You can just go download Ubuntu. You can download Kali. You can download whatever. Spin it up on your workstation. It's pretty lightweight. I mean, you're not really doing anything crazy with it. You just want to learn the command line and how to move around and stuff like that. So
Hmm.
that was kind of my other point that I wanted to bring up.
Oh yeah, and yeah, that's one of the best selling points right there. It's free.
For sure. Yep. Yep.
Anybody can. If you got a $35 Raspberry Pi, you can just go to
Yep.
drop Linux on there and play around with it and get familiar with it. So
Yep.
yeah. Now, and I just threw your links in the chat, so you
Cool.
guys make sure you go subscribe to John's website, his Instagram, and also put his links, CyberInsight links with. It has a link to his YouTube, his blog, newsletters, his store, his consulting, and LinkedIn as well. So
All of it.
yeah, all his links are right here. So you guys check him out and subscribe and support all his platforms and everything. So
Appreciate it.
yeah, no problem. And so programming languages.
Yep.
What programming languages do you recommend? And I hear it every week. Python. I know. So
I mean, there you go. You answered it.
yeah.
Yeah.
But I still want to hear your answer.
Yeah. All right. So, a few different things with this. So I took a whole bunch of programming classes in college.
Mm-hmm.
I hated all of them. I mean, C++ is atrocious. I didn't enjoy that in any way. Java was a little bit better. I think I even did like some HTML way back in the day. I never liked it. I never cared for any of it. But what we do have coming up, well, it's already here, but is the fact that automation is so big at this point. You need to be able to integrate and develop tools that are going to make, you managing your environment easier. So for me, that's why I would end up saying, Python is the way that you're going to go. Although, you could, depending upon the environment you work in, maybe you're like, I'm not going to go learn Python. Maybe you're going to go and get specific with an individual tool set. Maybe, you have Ansible. So you're going to go and really focus on learning Ansible. For me, I kind of have been spoiled in that a lot of the places that I've worked have had SolarWinds.
Okay.
And SolarWinds actually has a component within their network configuration manager that automates pushing out, in essence, batch network configurations.
Okay.
So if I had worked other places, I would have been forced to learn Python a long time ago and use it every day. Because of the fact that I've worked in environments with SolarWinds, I've never had to do that because I was just able to rely on a tool that kind of had all that coding in the back end, and I could just natively input the commands that I wanted to use and have them pushed out everywhere.
Okay.
So I suck from that perspective when it comes to that. But at least I'm aware that is a little bit of a blind spot for me. I'm familiar with Python. I can look at scripts. I can figure out what's going on, but I don't write them every day. Same thing with PowerShell. I use PowerShell scripts. But more often than not, it's going online, finding somebody who's already written something to do what I need to do.
And a lot of times that's what a lot of people do, to be honest. It's because I'm the same way. I'm no expert at programming at all. I understand the basics. I can read it, but most of the time I have to go look things up on Google to figure, because you can't remember and retain every single. At least if I'm trying to write something out, it's like certain options I have to look up. You just have to look it up. Can't retain all that unless you just program every day.
Well, that's the thing, right? If you're programming every day, then you're gonna get it. Man, the one that always kills me, because I only need it when I need it, is regex. Like I let that just slide out of my brain as soon as I'm done doing whatever it is that I need to do with it. And then, every few months something will pop up. Like, man, I got to go look up how to do this stuff again. Okay, yep, let's see. Oh, look at that. Like, whatever I wrote out here is like the hungriest regex query ever and is just going to like destroy the CPU on this box. All right, let's try and fix that. But yeah, I mean, it's important. But I wouldn't go about, killing yourself, trying to learn something. If it's not related to what you're doing and what you have in your environment, you gotta be proficient in your own environment first before, going after, other things. So.
Yeah, you're right. Because a lot of times in most positions, programming is kind of like a plus. So
most definitely.
Yeah. So it's a plus to know, but unless you're taking a full-fledged developer position, then it's just that plus, something that will help you or assist you in the future. So
most definitely, it's important, but your other fundamentals are more important. So make sure that you kind of get those locked up first before or jumping into kind of ancillary type of stuff.
Exactly. And that kind of reminds me of what I always say about cybersecurity, man. You have to understand the basics of networking, systems in order to protect them. You know what I'm saying? You have to have that base foundation. So,
if you don't know how it works, you can't protect it.
Yeah.
So
exactly.
I always recommend Network Plus. I mean, I know there is definitely some bias there because of the fact that I, am a network engineer, started off as a network engineer.
Okay.
But seriously, if you don't know how data flows work and how data goes back and forth across the network, it is super hard to, be a cyber analyst trying to understand, what you're looking at when you're looking at a packet capture. Right? I mean, you really gotta, have that foundational information and then, specialize in these other, unique things that build on top of it.
Exactly. Now, let me see. Oh, excuse me. So I got I got a question that I wanted to touch on right fast.
Sure.
That I saw. Professor Black Ops, good to see you. And shout out to
Hey,
Gabe
what's up,
Bay.
Professor Black Ops? I
Yeah,
love that guy. He's always in Davin's in DJax's channel. So
yeah,
that's awesome.
yeah. He's the man.
Yeah.
Stigs, man.
Oh yeah. You know, I eat, sleep, and breathe Stigs. I've
Okay.
done videos on Stigs. I actually did a 15-part masterclass on YouTube going over the network architecture STIG best practices.
Wow.
So I know STIGs, Linux STIGs, Windows STIGs, network device STIGs,
Hmm.
uh, automating STIGs
Okay.
when it comes to using like Tenable Security Center and things like that. So see, if I ever meet him in person, we're just gonna like STIG out
Yeah.
because we can go all the way back and talk about STIGs from 15 years ago to all the stuff going on now and how that's all
Hmm.
evolved. So yeah, no, I love STIGs, honestly. I know a lot of people hate STIGs and they don't like it, but it gives you a guideline to
Hmm.
follow. And yeah, that can be annoying. But on the other hand, if you have no idea what you should be doing to secure your environment,
Hmm.
then what the heck are you doing? You need something. You need to follow something. You need to follow some type of best practices and stuff like that. And
Exactly.
yeah, I mean that just provides a pretty good way to at least be more secure. The caveat with that always is you need to be thinking critically when you're implementing STIGs because a lot of times there's STIGs that are wrong for you or your environment, and you can go and screw stuff up pretty damn bad.
Hmm.
So again, that's why test environments are super, super important.
Oh yeah.
That's why being able to look at the intent of the STIG and not just what the particular configuration is. So that way you can analyze, okay, what is it that they're really trying to protect here?
Hmm.
What is that actual risk within our environment? What other mitigations do we have in place or can we put in place if this configuration isn't good for this particular environment? So there's a lot that goes with it, but I think it's a good thing to have and a good thing to maintain to make sure that your environment is somewhat safe.
Hmm. I agree. I agree. Now, let me ask you this: how do you think future, advances or technology advances, will impact jobs? Like automation. I know you kind of touched on it,
Sure,
like
yeah.
automation. What are your
Uh,
thoughts?
I mean, so you got automation, you got cloud stuff,
Yeah,
you
cloud.
got it's kind of like zero trust. You got, I mean, I'm trying to think a few years back, big data was like a thing, but I think we're kind of starting to realize that big data is too much data. And so we're trying
Yeah.
to like figure out how to be more intentional with the specific data that we have versus just collecting and keeping everything.
Hmm.
Um, I mean, I think it's a challenge and it's an opportunity, right? So it's a challenge from the perspective of you got to stay up on all of this different type of stuff, or maybe not all of it, but you need to stay up on the things that are impactful to the lane that you're in your career.
Yeah.
Flip side of that is that means that younger junior people actually have a very, very good opportunity of becoming the expert or the senior person in a particular type of technology
Hmm.
that's newer, right? And so I think that that's awesome. That gives folks the ability to get paid a lot more, get into more senior positions, make more impact. Um, so yeah, I think that it's just one of those things. And you couple that also kind of with what happened with COVID, and you have all this different types of remote work and things like that. I think that often opens up some opportunities. It'll be interesting to see how much of that readjusts moving forward. Um, but I think more people like working from home than
Yeah.
being stuck in an office.
Hmm.
Probably can be a little bit more efficient and stuff like that. Of course, the flip side to that is I don't know. I think human interaction, in-person human interaction, is a really, really important thing. It's hard to build camaraderie with folks, and I'm sure you'll agree with this. I mean, both coming from a military background, in-person camaraderie is the greatest way to
Oh,
you know, build
definitely.
up friendships, and you can do a job that really, really sucks, but if you enjoy the people that you're doing it
Hmm.
with, then it makes it, a lot easier. So,
Yeah,
yeah.
I agree. Now, as far as cloud computing, it is important. You do say
Yeah,
it is important for people to get into and learn, right? I
sure.
mean,
I mean,
everybody says it, but yeah, I just wanted to hear
um,
you.
so again, it depends upon, the environment that you're in. You definitely
Uh-huh.
see, I mean, it might not even be like actually moving, you know, uh, all of your, core services to the
Hmm.
cloud. It might just be certain ones. So it might be more software as a service
Hmm.
versus actual like infrastructure as a service, and moving all that type of stuff. I think it's important. I think still though, it's more important to make sure that you have an foundational understanding of how everything
Oh
works
yeah.
in IT. Um, the cloud is still doing the same type of stuff. It's just they rename things
Yeah.
and uh, kind of compartmentalize them a little bit differently. So it's important to understand that. It's equally important to understand the specific risks that you have in a cloud environment versus not. So, making sure that you're securing APIs and making sure that you're using MFA on everything, and, making sure that you have the right rule sets in different security groups and all that type of stuff is, really important if you're starting to go down that road as far as integration of services there.
Hmm. Got you. Got you. Got you. Now, let me see. Oh, that question. I totally forgot about it because you made me think about certain things when you started talking. But Professor Blackout basically said, "What is your take on NIST 800-53 or 5? I don't know what that is."
Yeah, yeah, no, the SCTM, I love it. So again, it's not perfect. None of this stuff is perfect. Any of the any of these kind of baselines and requirements that come from the government, you have to take it with a grain of salt. But again, it's giving you a baseline. It's giving you some guidelines, giving you some goalposts. And if you're working, I mean, let's say you're working for a small to medium sized business, and you don't really know, what it is that you should be doing as far as implementing a robust security posture in your environment, 853, can give you some pretty good recommendations. So you said that you aren't familiar with it.
Yeah, I
Um,
was looking it up now, but go ahead.
yeah,
Go ahead.
so it's pretty much. I'm trying to remember with Rev 5 how many control families there are. I don't know. It's like 16 different control families, maybe. I'm guessing of all these different things from anywhere from kind of like
Oh, I've heard of
program
this.
management, accounting,
Hmm.
uh, disaster recovery, incident response, kind of covers all these different technical and non-technical areas that are pertinent to an IT organization,
Hmm.
and gives you, in essence, requirements that you need to follow in order to, secure your environment. Now, from the government side of things, this is what they use when it comes to accrediting systems, or one of the things that they use when
Yeah.
it comes to accrediting systems, right? So
It's kind of
whenever
like a
you go,
guideline, right?
oh, go ahead.
No, I was saying it's
Yes,
kind of like a guideline, basically.
yes,
Yeah.
yep. So whenever you go to get a system accredited, you're going to have this as one of your artifacts, and all of the supporting artifacts for each of these different controls to be like, hey, yeah, our system is built out, it meets these standards, um, and then the government will review all of that, and as long as everything seems fine, or any type of issues that they have, they're going to accept the risk with that. Then the system will be accredited, and you're continuously monitoring and updating this. So it's not like a document that you do once and then it's done. It's something that you're continually checking this, updating it as different things within your organization change. And also as different controls change, because they will do updates and revisions and things like that you need to make sure that you're implementing within your environment.
Yeah, because they may find vulnerabilities in the future, and so it's
Sure,
a living document.
it is. It's a living document, and they'll develop different types of new best practices. New types of technology will come out. So if you were looking at something from, let's say, 8 years ago, cloud types of architectural configurations weren't as important. Now that's definitely something that they want you to take account of, make sure that you have the documentation for it, make sure that you're following certain things. So
Okay, got you. All right, now I think it was another question I saw in the chat. Well, Professor Black Ops, he said he's I'm waiting on my invite to your channel. LOL.
Oh man, no. Anytime, we definitely do that. I told you,
Cool.
we would get along very, very well.
Cool. Now, does your company do a lot of government fed work or government work?
So a little bit of mix of different things.
Okay.
A little commercial, a little bit of government. Yeah.
Okay.
Yep.
Yeah. Only say what you can say. I
Yeah.
was just
We're gonna leave it there.
Yeah. I know people have NDAs and all that stuff, so
Yeah.
I try to stay away and let people say what they, what they can and cannot say. So.
Yep.
Appreciate it. Let's see, and I think that was pretty much it on the questions. I just want to thank you again for actually coming through. Also, one other thing, do you use SED and AUK? Have you used SED and AUK before? I seen Professor Black Ops mention it, so I was just
SED and AUK.
It's the commands, yeah.
AUK, yeah, in Linux.
Yeah, the AUK command says.
Yeah, yes.
Okay. Yeah, because that's what Professor Black Ops said earlier. He said I use FedEx, SED, and AUK in a Linux world as well. So yeah. Cool. Yeah, I know AUK is like very important. It's a great tool because it helps with going through those log files.
Being able to identify things and break them up and then pipe them over to another file or something. Yep.
Exactly. So but no, I definitely want to appreciate you. I mean, I definitely want to thank you again for coming through. And hold on, let me put your channel up there. I have all the links in the description of the video, so I want you guys to go subscribe to his channel. Anybody that's doing something positive and trying to help people get into the IT field, I'm always trying to push them and support them as best I can. And yeah, you definitely gonna have to hit up Professor Black Ops as well.
Yeah, I know.
Yeah, because he's always explaining to me about the STIGs, and I've been through STIGs and because I currently work on DoD contracts, so and I'm a SQL administrator, so we went through the STIGs.
Oh, the SQL STIG is a bear, man. That is it's rough. Real rough.
Yeah. I know, man.
That's probably one of my least favorite STIGs out of all the STIGs that I've had to work through. Yeah, that's no good. It's a pain.
Yeah. Now, somebody did ask a question right fast, and I don't want to let you go without answering it. Sure. Should a network engineer get a Azure cloud certification? Well, which one? AWS, Azure,
I mean, so my answer on that is going to be, what networking certs do you already have? Because you want to prioritize making sure that you're straight there, right? The other thing is Microsoft multiple times a year will always do free training and free cert vouchers. So that is a great opportunity to go about doing that. My answer, if somebody asks about getting a certain cert, if they're already good with their other stuff and there's an opportunity to get free training and a free cert, most definitely go do it. Because even if it's something that you aren't going to be using in your day-to-day, work and stuff like that, even if you're just able to pick up a few concepts out of that, it's going to make you a better overall rounded engineer. So definitely.
Okay.
I did AZ 900 last year. Actually, I did it just to make some content on the YouTube channel, but that's
Okay.
their cloud fundamentals cert. It was really, really easy, very straightforward. But at least with that, you're able to understand the nomenclature and the terminology and have, somewhat high level understanding of what Azure is doing within the cloud. So yeah, if that interests you, go for it for sure.
Yeah, definitely. Now Professor Black Ops, he asked again, do any government maybe he's asking me, do you have any? Nah, I don't do any cloud work at all. Most of our stuff is, well, you know, I don't do any cloud work. And yeah, Amazon. You almost choked on
You're walking that back there.
Yeah, I know.
I appreciate that. Yep.
Say my job is
Yeah.
giving anyone in the company free Azure certs. Yeah, hey, if your job is giving you certs or like giving you free training and free certs,
Take
advantage of it. Yeah.
every time. Oh, one other thing I'll throw in with that, because this is also something that sometimes people don't realize. Whenever you're buying something from a vendor within an environment, more often than not, they will give you free training if you ask for it.
Okay.
So if you're like, hey, we're going to go buy, I'll just make something up. You're going to go buy F5 load balancers. F5 will be more than happy to actually hook you up with either online training. I've seen them even come out on site to locations to do training.
Wow.
It's the same across a whole bunch of different technology vendors. They want people to use their technology. They want people to learn how to use their technology, because then that kind of gets them a better foothold within, the industry. So if you are procuring something, or that somebody else on your team is procuring something, always ask for who's ever dealing with the sales engineer or whoever is kind of in that process, if they can tack on free training for folks in your environment. And that is a super, super easy way to get, some pretty solid training.
Oh, and Professor Black Ops kind of clarified. He said, "Does John B ever use Amazon government cloud, especially for Fed clients?" I don't know if you could say.
No answer.
Okay.
No answer.
Okay. All right. So I again, I definitely appreciate you coming on, man. And
Yeah, for
if you
sure.
ever want to do this again, I'll come through and just
Oh man, yeah, most
chop it
definitely.
up. And I'm looking at creating or coming up with a panel of guys, and we could just come through and talk tech or whatever.
Yeah, most definitely.
I definitely hit you up and let you know.
Yeah, for sure.
When
I'll
I figure it out.
Always down for that.
Okay, cool. And again, bro, have a good day, and stay on after this. I'm just play the outro.
Yep.
But hey, make sure you guys go subscribe to his channel, and subscribe to all his social media. He definitely puts out great content on his channel. So check it out. And you guys have a good one and keep it techie.